All right, get ready to decode some seriously colorful language because today we're diving deep into the world of American English idioms.
Ooh, idioms.
Yeah, you know those quirky sayings that make you scratch your head and think, wait, what?
Like raining cats and dogs.
Exactly.
Or kick the bucket.
See, you're already speaking the language.
I heard a few.
And we're going to uncover a whole treasure trove of them thanks to your fantastic suggestion, Advanced English Conversation Dialogues by Jackie Boland.
This book is jam-packed with idioms. It's amazing.
My first thought was, how are we going to cover all of this in one deep dive? It's like a crash course in cultural fluency.
Right. But as I started flipping through it, I realized each idiom is like a mini story, a little snapshot of culture and humor all rolled into one.
That's so true. And that's probably why they're so memorable, right? You can picture them, you can feel them. They're not just words on a page.
And they add so much personality to your language.
Yeah.
It's like if you can sprinkle these into your conversations naturally, it shows you're not just speaking English, you're understanding the culture behind it.
It's like you've cracked the code. You're in the club.
Yeah, you're not just a tourist anymore.
Exactly. So we're going to tackle this book theme by theme: money, health, relationships, work, that kind of thing.
Okay, that was good.
So you'll have a whole arsenal of idioms ready to go for any situation. Let's start with something universally relatable: money. You know, everyone's got a money story.
Money talks, right?
Oh, there you go. Another idiom. But the book starts with cost an arm and a leg and uses the classic example of buying a car. I mean, haven't we all felt that way at some point?
Oh, absolutely. That feeling of like your wallet is cringing.
Like, ouch, that hurts.
But what's interesting is this idiom isn't just about something being expensive. It goes a bit deeper. It suggests a level of like sacrifice involved.
Right.
Like imagine way back when bartering was more common, giving up a limb was like the ultimate price.
Oh, wow. I never thought of it like that.
Now, obviously, no one's actually losing body parts over a car these days. But the idiom captures that feeling of, this is going to hurt my bank account, but I really, really want it.
Okay, so it's not just about the money itself, but the feeling of what you're giving up to get it. Makes sense.
The emotional cost, yeah.
And the book also mentioned break the bank, again, with that car example. Are those two interchangeable? Cost an arm and a leg versus break the bank?
Well, they're both talking about big expenses, definitely. But break the bank takes it a step further. It's not just a dent in your savings. It implies complete and utter financial ruin.
Oh, wow.
Like you've wiped out your accounts, maybe even gone into debt. Think of an actual bank vault, like smashed open and empty. That's the level of devastation we're talking about.
Okay, so if cost an arm and a leg is like wincing at a high price tag, break the bank is a full-blown financial meltdown. Got it. Now, the book also brings up living within your means, which seems pretty straightforward, right? Spend less than you earn, that kind of thing.
Yeah, basic budgeting.
But I feel like there's a whole philosophy behind that idiom, isn't there?
Absolutely. It's about being financially responsible, making sure your spending aligns with your income for sure. But it's not just about practicality. It reflects a certain mindset, you know, like a way of approaching money that emphasizes stability and long-term security over those instant gratification purchases.
So if someone is constantly breaking the bank or things are always costing them an arm and a leg, they're probably not the best at living within their means. I guess the opposite of that would be what the book called splashing out.
You got it. Splashing out is all about indulging, treating yourself, maybe even being a little bit reckless with your spending. Like think of a lavish vacation, a designer handbag. Those are all splashing out moments.
Okay, so we've gone from the pain of big expenses to the joy of treating yourself, all within the realm of money idioms.
There's an idiom for everything.
But everyone gets tired of talking about finances eventually. So let's shift gears to a topic we all experience: health. And the book uses the phrase feeling under the weather, which honestly I feel like I've used a million times when calling in sick to work.
Oh, it's a classic. It perfectly captures that feeling of being a bit off, you know, not seriously ill, but definitely not at your best.
Like just blah.
Yeah, just blah.
But what's interesting to me is how that idiom uses the weather as a metaphor for health.
Oh, that's a good point.
It's almost like we see illness as this temporary storm we have to weather.
Like that, yeah.
To get through.
To ride it out.
But what if you're actually really sick? Like stuck in bed, can't move, kind of sick. Would under the weather still cut it?
Oh, for that level of misery, We have stronger idioms.
Bring on the strong ones.
Okay, imagine someone completely knocked down by a bug, like they're really suffering. That's when you'd say they're sick as a dog.
Sick as a dog. I love that one.
Yeah.
It's funny because, well, dogs don't usually get sick that often, do they?
Not that we know of.
But I get the point. It's about feeling totally wiped out. Though there's got to be an idiom for when it's even worse than that, right? When it's
Oh, absolutely.
right.
When someone's health is in serious jeopardy, it's a grave situation.
Oh.
We say they're at death's door.
Oh, yikes.
Not a very cheerful one, I'll admit, but thankfully it's not an idiom we use very often.
Hopefully not. But the book also mentioned worse for wear, which seems to fall somewhere in between under the weather and sick as a dog. Maybe it's like that feeling after a really rough night out.
You're picking up on those nuances. Worse for wear is more general. It means being drained or exhausted, whether it's from illness, stress, even a wild party.
Yeah, like you've been through the ringer a little bit.
Exactly. It implies that you're depleted, but you'll bounce back. It's temporary.
You'll recover.
You'll recover.
Okay, so we've covered the spectrum from feeling a little off to being on the verge of collapse, all with colorful idioms. But health isn't just about illness, right? It's about taking care of ourselves, both physically and mentally. Speaking of which, the book uses this great phrase when talking about stress relief, blowing off some steam.
Blowing off some steam.
Yeah.
So essential.
So important.
But think about it, why steam? Steam is like built up pressure that needs to be released.
Right.
Just like when we kind of bottle up our emotions, it creates that internal pressure. So this idiom is about finding those healthy ways to let it out, whether it's through exercise or creative outlets or even a good vent section with a friend,
Just let it out.
Just let it out.
So it's not about avoiding emotions altogether. It's about channeling them in a way that doesn't make us, explode like an overheated tea kettle.
Exactly. Finding those outlets that help us de-stress and regain our balance is key.
Balance. I like that. And speaking of balance, the book also has this line where a character says, I wish I hadn't been such a couch potato. An apple a day keeps the doctor away, right? It's classic advice.
Yeah.
But is there any truth to it? I mean, is a single apple really a magical cure-all?
Well, I don't think a single apple has those kind of superpowers. But what's fascinating about this idiom, despite being about a literal fruit, it captures a much broader concept.
What's that?
Preventative health.
Yeah.
It's about making those healthy choices a regular part of your routine so you're less likely to need those major medical interventions later on.
It's like the idiom itself is this little nudge towards taking care of ourselves.
A little reminder. And if you're doing all the right things, maybe you could even say you're as fit as a fiddle.
As fit as a fiddle. I like that one.
Who doesn't want to be compared to a perfectly tuned instrument?
I know, right? Sounds good to me. So from under the weather to as fit as a fiddle, we've covered a lot of ground in the health department.
Yeah, we have.
But there's another area of life where idioms really shine, and that is relationships. And I'm not talking about just the lovey-dovey kind. I'm talking about the full spectrum of human connection, from friendships to family dynamics, even those tricky workplace relationships.
Yeah, the juicy ones.
Oh, yeah. The book had one that really jumped out at me. It's giving someone the cold shoulder.
Ooh, a cold shoulder.
Yeah. And they used it to describe a strained parent-child relationship, which can definitely get icy sometimes, right?
Oh, absolutely. Family drama is the best drama.
Oh, it's the worst. It's the worst. But it's a powerful image. Giving the cold shoulder. You can practically feel the chill in the air.
Yeah, like you're being ignored.
Yeah, like, don't talk to me.
Exactly. But giving the cold shoulder is more than just physical distance. It's about that deliberate withdrawal of affection and communication. It's a way of saying, I'm upset, and I'm not ready to engage with you right now.
Okay, so it's not just about being busy or needing some space. It's a deliberate act of showing displeasure. But is that the same as what the book calls letting the dust settle? That seems more about just taking a time out.
You're right, there is a difference. Letting the dust settle is more about creating a temporary pause, allowing emotions to cool down before you address the situation directly. Imagine like a room filled with swirling dust after a fight. You can't see clearly until things settle, right?
Right, yeah.
It's about taking that step back to gain perspective before you jump back into the fray.
So giving the cold shoulder is intentional. It's a bit of a power move, while letting the dust settle is more about strategic disengagement. That makes a lot of sense.
Exactly. It's all about understanding the subtle messages behind these idioms and using them appropriately. Now, let's talk about those really strong positive relationships.
Okay.
The book has this adorable idiom, 2 peas in a pod, to describe those close friendships. I mean, it just makes me picture like two little peas snuggled up together, completely inseparable.
It's such a cute image. It perfectly captures that feeling of being so in sync with someone, sharing the same interests, values, even quirks, like you're two halves of a whole.
And that kind of connection can be so valuable.
Yeah.
But let's be real, even the best of friendships aren't always sunshine and rainbows.
That's true.
Remember that workplace drama in the book where someone gets stabbed in the back?
Ooh, yeah.
That takes us to a much darker side of relationships.
Ugh, stabbed in the back. It's such a visceral idiom. It goes way beyond a simple disagreement or misunderstanding. It's about a deliberate betrayal of trust, a wound that cuts deep and can be hard to heal.
Exactly. It evokes a sense of shock, pain, and vulnerability. It highlights how actions can have a much deeper impact than words, especially when trust is broken.
So we've gone from the warmth of being two peas in a pod to the sting of betrayal. Relationships are a roller coaster, aren't they?
They really are.
But speaking of journeys, let's move on to our final theme for this part of our deep dive work. The book starts off this section with a classic hit the books, which, let's be honest, every student has heard at some point.
Oh, it's a rite of passage.
It's like a universal experience.
It is.
But it's more than just studying, right?
Yeah.
It implies a certain level of dedication and intensity.
It's like, imagine physically striking those books to force the knowledge into your brain.
Oh, I get it.
That's the level of effort we're talking about.
It's funny because the book actually advises against cramming and pulling all-nighters, which seem pretty similar to hitting the books at first glance. What's the difference?
It's all about the approach and the mindset. Hitting the books suggests a consistent, structured study routine, whereas cramming and pulling all-nighters, that's like last-minute desperation.
Okay.
Trying to cram information into your brain in a panic. The idiom itself, hit the books, reflects a more effective and sustainable way of learning.
So it's not just about the hours you put in, it's about how you use those hours. Smart. Now, the book also has this great section on study tips, which seems like a perfect segue into our next idiom, working your fingers to the bone.
That one evokes a sense of pure hard work.
Yeah.
It paints this picture of someone toiling tirelessly, pushing themselves to their limits to achieve a goal. But what's interesting is it applies to both physical and mental labor. Think of a writer spending hours hunched over a manuscript, or a programmer working late into the night to meet a deadline.
Yeah.
Those are both examples of working your fingers to the bone.
It's like the idiom itself is a testament to dedication and perseverance, even if it hints at a bit of exhaustion, too.
It does, yeah.
But not all work is about burning the midnight oil. Sometimes we stress ourselves out unnecessarily, making mountains out of molehills, as the book puts it.
That's a classic.
That's such a good one. It's all about perspective, right? We blow things out of proportion, turning minor setbacks into these major catastrophes. It's like that feeling when you spill a drop of coffee on your shirt and suddenly feel like the entire day is ruined.
Oh, I know that feeling.
Yeah, but the idiom reminds us to zoom out, see the bigger picture, and not let those little things derail us.
Exactly. It's a gentle reminder to, chill out. Don't sweat the small stuff.
Exactly. So from the intensity of hitting the books and working your fingers to the bone to the importance of keeping things in perspective, we've covered quite a bit in the work realm. But we've also touched on money, health, and relationships. What's the big takeaway here? What have we learned from all these idioms?
What's fascinating about these idioms and what we've seen today is that they're not just about vocabulary, they're windows into culture and thought.
That's a great point.
By incorporating these colorful expressions, you'll not only sound more natural in your communication, but you'll also deepen your understanding of how native speakers think and express themselves.
So keep exploring.
Keep playing with language.
Keep having fun with it.
Most importantly, have fun with it.
We'll be back soon with part 2 of this deep dive, where we'll uncover even more fascinating American English idioms from advanced English conversation dialogues.
There are so many more.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
All right, welcome back to our deep dive into the wonderful world of American English idioms. Last time we were talking about money, health, relationships, even some work idioms.
Yeah, we covered a lot of ground.
A lot of ground. But there are so many more to explore. So where are we headed next on this idiom adventure?
Well, let's stick with that work theme for a little bit longer, but this time, let's focus on success.
Okay.
And there's one idiom that really captures that idea of being clever, quick-witted.
Oh, I like those kinds of people.
Yeah, right. Resourceful.
Resourceful.
It pops up in the book when they're describing a character who's always one step ahead.
Okay, give me a hint.
It involves a baked good.
A baked good. Smart cookie.
Yeah, smart cookie.
Smart cookie. I love that one. It's like you can practically picture someone snapping their fingers and coming up with a brilliant solution, you know?
Yeah, they're sharp.
They're sharp.
Savvy.
Savvy. But is it just about, like, book smarts, or is there more to it?
It definitely goes beyond just having a high IQ, I think. Think about it. Cookies are small, but packed with flavor, right?
Right.
So a smart cookie is someone who's resourceful, adaptable. They can handle any situation with, like, a mix of intelligence and street smarts.
So they're not just, like, good at taking tests.
No, they can handle real-life stuff.
They're out there in the world.
They're the ones who always seem to have a plan, even when things get a bit chaotic.
They're, like, the problem solvers.
Yeah, the problem solvers.
Okay, so smart cookie, someone who's sharp, savvy, has that certain something that helps them navigate tricky situations. But sometimes even the smartest cookies need a little help along the way.
Oh, absolutely. We all need support.
And that brings us to another idiom that I found really heartwarming. It's a shoulder to cry on.
Oh, a shoulder to cry on.
Yeah, the book uses it to describe that friend who's always there for you no matter what.
It's that deep sense of support. Empathy. You know, you have someone you can turn to when things get rough, someone who will listen without judgment and offer comfort when you need it most. It's like a safe haven, a reminder that you're not alone in your struggles.
Yeah, it's like a human security blanket.
Yeah, I like that.
It's so nice.
It is nice.
But it's not just about offering comfort, though, right? It's about being present, going through those ups and downs together. And speaking of which, the book uses a great idiom to describe that kind of long-lasting bond through thick and thin.
Oh, through thick and thin. A classic.
A classic. What does that one mean to you?
It's about resilience.
Yeah.
You're sticking by someone's side no matter what life throws your way, good times and bad. It's that unshakable loyalty that weathers storms and emerges, like even stronger on the other side. It's the kind of friendship that can withstand disagreements, distance, even major life changes.
It's not just about, like, having fun together, you know?
No.
It's about being there for each other through the good times and the bad times.
Exactly.
That's real friendship right there. But let's be real, not all relationships are that deep and meaningful.
True.
Sometimes we connect with people based on shared interests or goals. And the book captures that perfectly with the idiom, birds of a feather flock together.
Yes. It's like we're drawn to those who are like us, who share our values, passions, maybe even our quirks. It's like, those flocks of birds that move in perfect unison. There's a sense of unity and belonging that comes with finding your tribe.
It's like that feeling when you meet someone new and you instantly click,
Yeah.
You just get each other.
Yeah, you're on the same wavelength.
There's no need to explain yourself.
You just vibe.
You just vibe. But even with those natural connections, sometimes things don't go as planned.
Oh, that's life.
And remember that character in the book who made a hasty decision and ended up really regretting it? They definitely jumped the gun on that one.
Oh, jumping the gun, that's a good one.
Yeah.
It's all about acting impulsively without thinking things through. It's like that athlete who takes off before the starting pistol.
Oh, yeah.
They might have a head start, but they've also broken the rules and to face consequences.
So it's like about that fine line between being spontaneous and being reckless.
You got to think before you act.
Sometimes a little patience goes a long way. But speaking of taking action, we've all experienced those moments of, like, anticipation and nervousness before a big event, right?
Pre-game jitters.
The pre-game jitters, exactly. The book calls it having butterflies in your stomach.
Ooh, those butterflies.
A butterfly.
Yeah, they can be both exciting and nerve-wracking.
I always get them before a big presentation or a job interview. It's like, my stomach is trying to fly away.
It's that fluttery sensation that signals that we're stepping outside our comfort zone, taking a risk, maybe even facing a fear.
Yeah. It's that, like, feeling of the unknown. Yeah.
It's like, what's going to happen?
But the book also mentioned a phrase that seems to contradict that feeling of nervousness. A piece of cake.
Yeah.
Usually that means something's easy, right?
Yeah, super easy breezy.
Breezy.
That's us.
But what's interesting is how the book uses it. It's not about the task itself being easy. It's about having the confidence to tackle it.
It's a mindset.
It's that mindset. It's like a way of reframing a challenge and saying, I got this, no problem.
Yeah, I'm not even sweating it.
Not even sweating it.
It's a cake.
Piece of cake. So it's like a mental trick to boost your confidence and approach a situation with a positive mindset. But sometimes even with the best attitude, we need a little extra help from the universe.
Oh, yeah. A little luck never hurts.
A little luck. And that's where fingers crossed comes in, right?
Fingers crossed, absolutely. It's that universal gesture of hoping for the best, wishing for good luck, especially when we have limited control over the outcome.
Right.
It's like we're sending a little prayer to the universe saying, please let this work out in my favor.
It's like a little superstitious boost,
A little extra mojo.
to tip the scales in our direction. And speaking of quirky traditions, there's another one that always throws me off. Break a leg. I mean, who wishes someone an injury, especially right before a big performance?
Right. Seems counterintuitive.
It does.
But break a leg is a classic theatrical idiom. It's like a way of wishing someone good luck on stage. And there are a few theories about its origin. Some say it's like a reverse psychology thing. By wishing for the opposite of what you want, you're somehow warding off bad luck.
Interesting.
Another theory links it to like the idea of bowing so deeply that you might actually break a leg, like as a sign of a successful performance.
So it's either a superstitious charm or a testament to like the dedication of performers.
Yeah.
Either way, it's a unique way of showing support. But sometimes words speak louder than any quirky idiom. The book has this beautiful line where a character simply says, "I'm here for you." It's so simple, yet so powerful.
It is. It goes beyond just mere words. It's a declaration of unwavering support. It's a promise to stand by someone's side through those challenges, through thick and thin. It conveys empathy, understanding, and a willingness to offer practical help, or just a listening ear.
It's about showing up for someone, letting them know they're not alone in whatever they're going through.
Yeah, exactly. We've all been there. We all need that sometimes.
But sometimes even with support, life throws us curveballs.
Life is unpredictable.
And we need a fresh start.
A reset.
A reset. The book uses a familiar idiom in a new way to describe this, a clean bill of health. We usually associate that with like physical well-being.
Yeah, going to the doctor, getting a checkup.
Yeah, but the book uses it metaphorically.
Interesting.
To describe like a fresh start after a difficult period. It's like wiping the slate clean, getting a second chance, emerging from a challenge with renewed energy and a clear perspective.
It's like a mental and emotional clean bill of health.
Exactly. So it's not just about being free from illness, it's about feeling mentally and emotionally refreshed, ready to tackle whatever comes next.
Love that.
But getting to that point often involves a process of recovery and rebuilding.
Mm-hmm.
That's where back on my feet comes in.
Oh, yeah, back on my feet.
Mm-hmm.
That's about regaining stability and independence after a setback.
Okay.
It suggests resilience, that ability to bounce back from adversity and move forward with renewed purpose. It could be recovering from an illness, a job loss, a heartbreak, anything that knocks you down temporarily.
Yeah, like you're getting your footing again.
Yeah, you're finding your balance.
It's finding your balance.
You're not knocked out, you're getting back up.
And sometimes that forward momentum requires teamwork and collaboration.
Oh, for sure.
That's where the classic idiom, two heads are better than one, comes into play.
Ah, yes. Two heads are better than one. A testament to the power of collaboration.
I love it. What does it mean to you?
It's about recognizing that, we don't have all the answers. And seeking input and diverse perspectives can lead to more creative and effective solutions. It's about leveraging each other's strengths to achieve a common goal.
It's like that brainstorming session where, one idea sparks another, and suddenly you have a solution that's better than anything you could have come up with alone.
Synergy.
Synergy, exactly. But sometimes, even with a great team, the going gets tough and we need a little encouragement to keep pushing forward. The book uses a simple yet effective phrase for this, and it is, keep your chin up.
Oh, I love that one. Keep your chin up. It's like a pep talk in 3 words.
It is.
It's a reminder to stay strong, maintain a positive attitude, and don't let those setbacks define you. It's about focusing on what you can control, finding that silver lining, and believing in your ability to overcome challenges.
It's like that little voice inside your head saying, you got this, don't give up.
Exactly.
But sometimes, even with the best intentions, we reach a point where we need to step back and reassess. The book uses call it a day, which we usually associate with ending the workday.
Right, clocking out.
Clocking out. But they use it in a broader sense.
Interesting. How so?
Well, it can also apply to any situation where we need to recognize our limits, prioritize our well-being, and say enough is enough for now.
Okay, yeah. It's about knowing when to step away, recharge, and come back with renewed energy and focus.
So it's not about quitting.
No.
It's about strategic pausing. taking a break to prevent burnout and come back stronger. And sometimes that break involves like spending time with friends. And when it comes to like group outings, there's one idiom that always comes up: go Dutch.
Go Dutch. Oh, yeah. All about fairness and equality.
I like it.
Everyone chips in equally for a meal or activity, ensuring no one feels burdened or obligated.
That's good.
Takes the pressure off, creates a more relaxed and enjoyable social experience.
It's like that silent agreement to split the bill evenly, avoiding any awkwardness or resentment. But sometimes we want to do more than just split the bill, right? We want to express generosity and treat our friends. And that's where my treat comes in.
Oh, yeah, my treat. It's a gesture of warmth and hospitality. It's a way of saying, like, I appreciate you and I want to show you my gratitude.
Oh, that's nice.
It's about strengthening bonds, creating a sense of warmth and camaraderie.
Yeah.
Those little acts of kindness that just brighten someone's day and make them feel special.
I love that. But before we get too carried away with those feel-good vibes, there's one last idiom I wanted to bring up.
Okay.
The book uses it to describe those moments when we have to admit defeat.
Oh, okay.
Throw in the towel.
Throw in the towel. It signifies surrender. Yeah. You're acknowledging that the battle is lost and it's time to move on. It's a difficult decision, often requiring humility and self-awareness, but sometimes it's the wisest choice. Yeah. It allows us to conserve our energy and focus on more promising opportunities.
So we've gone from smart cookies to throwing in the towel.
Quite the range.
From shoulders to cry on to calling it a day. We've covered a lot of ground in this part of our deep dive. What overarching themes are you noticing as we explore these idioms?
What's striking me is how these idioms, while seemingly simple and colloquial, they offer these really profound insights into human nature, relationships, and even the pursuit of success.
It's true.
They highlight the importance of resilience, support systems, balance, and recognizing both our strengths and our limitations. And by understanding these nuances, we can communicate more effectively, navigate challenges with greater ease, and even cultivate more meaningful connections.
So it's about more than just memorizing vocabulary. It's about tapping into that cultural wisdom embedded in these expressions.
Absolutely.
And using them to navigate the complexities of life. We'll be back soon with part 3 of our deep dive, where we'll uncover even more fascinating American English idioms from advanced English conversation dialogues.
Stay tuned.
Welcome back for round 3 of our idiom exploration. Thanks to you and your fantastic suggestion of advanced English conversation dialogues, we've been on quite the journey through the twists and turns of American English idioms.
We have so many good ones.
I know, from those big expenses that cost an arm and a leg to finding a shoulder to cry on when things get rough.
And everything in between.
But there are still so many more idioms to uncover. So where are we headed in this final installment of our deep dive?
Well, let's step into a realm where things aren't always as they seem. A world of secrets, surprises, and maybe even a little bit of mischief.
Ooh, sounds intriguing.
Because today, we're talking about idioms that add a touch of drama and intrigue to our conversations.
Okay, I'm ready for the drama.
Are you ready to spill the tea?
Oh, is that an idiom?
Maybe. But speaking of spilling, the book uses this really funny idiom to describe a secret being revealed. Let the cat out of the bag.
Let the cat out of the bag. I love that one.
It's so visual, right?
Yeah.
You can practically picture that mischievous cat escaping and creating chaos.
Total chaos.
But letting the cat out of the bag isn't always accidental.
Oh, okay.
Sometimes it's a deliberate act of sharing confidential information, to get ahead or to stir up trouble.
Ooh, juicy gossip.
The book even has a scene where someone reveals their plans to leave their job before everything's finalized.
Oh, so they were talking about it behind people's backs?
A little bit, yeah.
Not cool. But sometimes those whispers can turn into full-blown conflicts if we don't, what's that phrase, nip things in the bud early on?
Yes, nip it in the bud.
That's a good one.
It's all about taking preventative action, addressing a problem before it escalates.
Okay.
Think of a gardener pruning a plant to prevent it from growing out of control.
Right.
It's about taking that decisive action early on to avoid bigger headaches down the road.
It's like that saying, a stitch in time saves 9. But sometimes, even with the best intentions, things don't always go as planned, and we find ourselves in situations that are just, plain confusing. The book uses a very fitting idiom for this clear as mud.
Clear as mud. It's brilliant, isn't it? It's that perfect blend of sarcasm and frustration when something is just utterly incomprehensible.
It's like, what are you even talking about?
Exactly. Imagine trying to see through a thick layer of mud. It's murky, distorted, impossible to make sense of.
It's like those times when you get instructions that are so convoluted, you end up more confused than when you started.
Absolutely. Speaking of confusing situations, there's another idiom that highlights those moments when people just can't seem to agree. See eye to eye.
Oh, yeah, see eye to eye. That's a big one.
Yeah. It's about finding common ground, reaching that shared understanding.
That's a good thing.
Yeah. Like that moment when two people look at the same picture and see the same thing. There's a sense of harmony and alignment.
It's like that aha moment. You realize you're both on the same wavelength. But let's be real, disagreements are part of life.
Yeah. Conflict happens.
And sometimes those disagreements can get pretty heated. The book uses a rather explosive idiom to describe this. Blow a gasket.
Blow a gasket. Ooh, that's a good one. It's all about expressing extreme anger or frustration. It's like that old car engine that overheats and suddenly bursts a gasket.
Right.
There's a sense of pressure building up until it reaches that breaking point.
It's like that feeling when you're so angry you feel like you might actually explode.
Exactly. But thankfully, there are healthier ways to blow off some steam.
Right, and we talked about that in part 1 of this deep dive.
Finding those constructive outlets for our emotions, whether it's exercise, creative expression, even just talking things out.
Yeah, just letting it out.
Let it out. It can help us regain our composure and approach situations with a clearer head.
So it's about finding those pressure valves.
Yeah.
That allow us to release those intense emotions in a safe and healthy way. But sometimes, even after all that effort, we reach a point where we have to admit defeat. The book uses a very powerful idiom for this. Throw in the towel.
Oh, throw in the towel. It signifies surrender. You're acknowledging that the battle is lost and it's time to move on.
That's a tough one.
It is tough. It's not an easy decision, but sometimes it's the wisest choice. It allows us to conserve our energy and focus on, more promising opportunities.
It's about picking your battles.
Yeah, exactly. Choosing where you're going to put your energy.
But on the flip side, there are also times when perseverance is key, when we need to dig deep and, what's that phrase, hang in there, despite the challenges.
Let's hang in there. It's a powerful expression of encouragement. It's about holding on tight, not giving up hope, and believing that things will eventually get better.
It's like that inner strength that helps us weather storms and emerge stronger on the other side.
Yeah, it's that little voice inside your head saying, you got this, just keep going.
And sometimes the best thing to do is to simply call it a day and take a break. And I love how the book uses this idiom, not just for ending the workday, but for any situation where we need to just pause and recharge.
Yeah, call it a day. It can apply to anything from ending a project to stepping away from a stressful situation.
Right.
It's about recognizing our limits, prioritizing our well-being, giving ourselves permission to rest, and come back with renewed energy.
So it's not about giving up, it's about strategic pausing.
Yeah, exactly.
Taking a break to prevent burnout and maintain a healthy balance.
Self-care.
Self-care is so important.
It is. And sometimes, we need a little bit of luck on our side.
We do. The book uses a simple yet effective phrase for this. Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. It's that universal gesture of hoping for the best. You're wishing for a favorable outcome, especially when we have limited control over the situation. It's like we're sending a little prayer to the universe saying, please let this work out.
It's a little superstitious, maybe, but there's something comforting about that gesture. We're actively putting that positive energy out into the world.
Manifesting
it. And speaking of positivity, there's one last idiom that I wanted to touch on. Speak of the devil. It's such a funny one, and it always seems to happen at the most unexpected times.
Right. Speak of the devil.
Yeah.
It's all about those surprising coincidences. When the person you were just talking about suddenly appears.
It's like the universe is eavesdropping on us.
It really is. It has a sense of humor and is orchestrating these perfectly timed entrances.
It's always a little startling, but there's something delightful about it too, a reminder that life is full of unexpected twists and turns.
It keeps us on our toes.
It keeps us on our toes. Well, we've certainly covered a lot of ground in this deep dive into American English idioms, from secrets and surprises to disagreements and frustrations, from giving up to hanging in there. We've explored a wide range of human experiences and emotions through the lens of these really colorful expressions. Any final thoughts for our listeners before we wrap up this linguistic adventure?
I think what's important to remember is that idioms aren't just about memorizing words. It's about understanding the culture, the thought processes behind them. By embracing these sometimes quirky sayings, you're not just expanding your vocabulary, you're gaining a deeper appreciation for the nuances of the English language and the people who speak it.
It's about connecting with the heart and soul of a language.
Exactly. It's more than just fluency. It's about understanding the culture, the humor, and the history behind these expressions.
And on that note, we've reached the end of our deep dive into American English idioms. A huge thank you to you, our listener, for suggesting this fascinating topic.
It was a great choice.
And remember, keep those ears open. You'll start hearing these idioms everywhere. Happy learning.